Well, I was born in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. We moved to Pakistan at the age of 8, and after that, that's when the physical abuse started. We were left alone with our mother, my 3 siblings and I, and she would just beat us because of really odd reasons. Like for me being obese was the reason that I was beaten up. And my sister was beaten up because she was sharp-tongued. She would stand up for herself, and she didn't like that. As for my brother, he just wouldn't study, so that was her excuse to beat him up. Like my mother would grab me from grab my hair and just duck me down the toilet, trying to drown me. She would at times grab a knife to grab my tongue and tell me that she would cut off my tongue and peel my whole face off if I ever tried either eating again or if I ever tried talking to boys and I think she wasn't happy in her marriage. That's why she would vent it out on us, the kids, and Dad was all the way back in UAE, so I don't know what other issues she had. Anyway, this kept going on till the age of 13, and then the beating stopped, but the verbal abuse was still there. And eventually I got my chance to go to Malaysia, and I was away from my parents, and then I got my chance to go to UK. I stayed there for 2 years. My sister was left behind, my brother went with me, and my mother after 2 years asked me to come back to give them a visit because she said Dad was ill. It didn't really matter to me if Dad was ill or not. I don't care about this family at all. My sister was suicidal at that time because she would self-medicate herself. She would try killing herself all the time because she was just fed up of all the rules and things that she had to oblige to that were set up by my mother. I went back there and I found out that my mother had actually the whole thing was a setup, basically. I didn't know what was going on. Within 5 days, my passport went missing, and I was told that maybe I lost it at the airport. And I thought my dad wasn't involved in the whole thing, but he was too involved, and the whole thing was a setup. I was made to believe that they weren't involved in it, and that some fortune teller had TCS delivered the passport to them, instead of actually admitting the fact that they had stolen it, but later they did admit that. And I knew that's exactly what happened. They hired a computer guy, they read my conversations with my sister, and my plan of going to a music college instead of finishing my degree. I wanted to take a gap year and go to a music college. And that just triggered the whole thing, and I was locked up for 2 months in the house before I got the chance to go out.
Since I was a kid, since I was 6, my mother would beat me up just like the rest of them. And what she would usually do to me was she would take me downstairs. We had 2 floors in the house. She would take me downstairs and she would drag me from downstairs to upstairs, and she would bring me in the living room, and either she would start beating me up by shoes or belts or just hands, whatever she preferred at that time, or she would just directly take me to her room and she would just lock me in a small storage room for hours, and then my brother would usually come and he would release me.
It took me about in total 5 months, and on January 25th, first I tried getting some money because the first thing was that I needed the passport. I got the passport issued on the 2nd of December, I believe, and then I got the tickets and found out that I could come to Sri Lanka without having a visa, because as soon as I escaped from the house, I knew that I needed to get out of the country because my uncle was very influential with the government, Pakistani government, and we did not stand a chance to do anything with our lives or even just escape or be on our own there, because they would have hunted us down eventually.
Yeah, the girls have ended up at a place and it's like a house where they were giving accommodation to foreigners, and the owner of that particular house is a client of mine. He contacted and told me that there are two girls and whether I can help them sort out their problem. So thereafter I went and met these girls, and I was shown these certificates, and this was a document issued by UNHCR. It was like a temporary certificate where they have given us, it's like an asylum seeker certificate. And I checked up with the immigration authorities, and I was informed that until the application for the asylum seeker application is processed, they can stay in this country until the document is valid. So they have this on the face of that document. It was given as 31st of March, and they were in they were valid to stay in Sri Lanka up to that date without a valid visa issued by the immigration authorities. Thereafter, there were like lot of pressures. Like we were informed that the parents, the mother and the uncle, they have come from Pakistan, and they were gunning for these girls, and they were looking for these girls everywhere. And then I contacted the tourist police, where I found out the mother had come from Pakistan and initially lodged a complaint at the tourist police, saying that these two girls are missing. So thereafter, the tourist police, they have reported facts to the Magistrates Court of Negombo and got an order from the magistrate asking him to search all the telephone networks, mobile phone networks, to get a trace of these girls. So through that order, the tourist police OIC and the team of officers, they have located these two girls. After locating these two girls, they have seen this certificate, and they were quite happy that they were on a valid permit, and they were at a very decent location. Thereafter, they went and reported back to the Magistrates Court of Negombo, saying that they have found these girls and they are at a respectable place and they are on a valid permit. Thereafter, the case is now laid in the Magistrates Court of Negombo, and thereafter what happened was, I was informed by these two girls that the UNHCR had wanted them to go and lodge an entry at the Women's and the Children's Bureau. So afterwards we found out, when we went there, that we were responding to a complaint made by the mother, and we were confronted with the mother at that particular place. So thereafter the police had recorded a statement, and police had wanted us to come to, these two girls to go to court. So they have given a date and wanted, and even the lawyer has been asked to give an undertaking that he will bring these two girls to the juvenile court in Bataramulla. Now the Women's and the Children Bureau, they get authority, they get jurisdiction to deal with children under the act called the Children's and Young Persons Ordinance. According to that ordinance, a child is categorized in the definition as a person who is under 14 years, and a young person is a person under 16 years. So my problem was, how did they get authority, jurisdiction to take in these two girls and to subject them to a juvenile court jurisdiction, which they don't have. Initially I took up a preliminary objection, saying that these two girls cannot be subjected to this court jurisdiction. I quote in the sections of that act, and I informed court, and I submitted the permits issued by UNHCR, and the judge was quite happy with it, and she felt that she had no jurisdiction. Therefore, she took my preliminary objection, and she gave a very long date. That's a date in March, mid-March, for her to give the order in respect of the preliminary objection which I raised. She warned the mother. I made an application saying that the mother, I have been informed that the mother is taking advantage of some politicians, and they are trying to create an issue, and they are trying to take this girl by force. Then the Honorable Magistrate warned the mother not to go even near the premises where they are living, and we were told to keep her at the present location which we have given the address to the juvenile court.